Hey guys, it's Meg, and today is a kind of serious sort of video. We're going to be talking about the sort of health things that I've had going on recently. So if you had seen my my comeback video, if you saw that, you know I mentioned quite a few times that my health hasn't been great over the last couple of years. So I thought, you know, let's just sit down, talk about it. I want to do sort of like more in-depth videos on each of the topics, because yes, there are more than one. So yeah, so I just want to do a sort of like catch up on sort of what's been going on, where I am now, where there is to come, and all the bits in between. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get on with the video. It all sort of started around COVID time. When I first got COVID, I think like, oh my god, my leg's gone all dead. So when I first got COVID, like the first time round, sort of like before any of the jabs were a thing, it hit me really hard to the point where I think like a lot of other people, when I was laying on the sofa, say like in my mum's old place, the sofa was here, say like where I am, and the sink was say like a foot behind where that door is. If I would walk from the sofa to the sink, I would be so out of breath and it constantly felt like someone was sat on my chest. I could barely walk up the stairs without like massively panting. I think even now sometimes you can hear that like if I talk quite quickly, I'm out of breath. So that sort of occurred, and when I was younger I had asthma, and it kind of, you can grow out of asthma, so especially when you're young. So when I had it, like any time I was ill, it'd always go to my chest. So I got some tests done, like when you could start going back to the doctors, and my asthma came back. So I've been put on 2 inhalers, like that's fine. Had some like issues here and there, like I get a lot of chest infections now where I've got to go on like antibiotics and steroids. Try not to go on the antibiotics as much as I can, but the steroids do definitely help. Had some x-rays on my chest because the pain was getting like quite severe, and I've got all scarring on my lungs now because of COVID, so that's fun. Don't really tell, you can't really tell even the difference sort of now as such. I think I've just kind of got used to it now. Like even like walking up and down stairs, sometimes it's absolutely fine, sometimes it is a nightmare. So that was kind of like the first sort of health thing that COVID brought me. The second thing was, so I started feeling like really tired. And at first I thought it's definitely long COVID. I do think I have got long COVID. But yeah, at first I thought it was just long COVID, just needs to get out of my system. And then I noticed that my hair was getting really thin. I will insert pictures somewhere on the screen. And it was becoming very noticeable. My boyfriend noticed it, especially when I was stressed, it would get worse. Friends and family noticed it. I definitely noticed it a lot. I got my eyelashes done for my birthday, and when I took them off, which they were taken off like it was done professionally, I didn't just rip them out of my eyelashes. But when I took the fake lashes off, oh my god, get your words out, Meg. When I took the fake lashes off, my natural lashes came with it. So that was no fault of the lash technician's fault. I do think that I didn't realise how bad my condition was, so I didn't know that my eyelashes couldn't take that strength anymore, or I couldn't take that procedure. I haven't had it done since because I'm a bit scared too, so now I just do my own with the tattoo lashes. But yeah, so I was kind of like, okay, something isn't right. My sister has anemia, I don't know if she still has, she hasn't mentioned it for a while. She has pernicious anemia, which is kind of like what old people get. So, or older people, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure everyone will anyway. So she got tested for that, because it wasn't one that was sort of like common in people her age. She kind of, it took a while to get diagnosed with it. So I just automatically assumed that I had the same because, you know, a lot of health stuff does run in families. So when I got it tested and I was having a lot of time off work, this is when I was at the florist still, and I'm not surprised, I think my boss was getting a bit peeved, which, you know, from my boss point of view, I can 100% understand. I think a lot of people thought I was kind of like faking, but I honestly wasn't. Like, I'd get, anytime there's a cold round, I would get it. Anytime anything happened, stomach bug, I'd get it instantly. And I was thinking, like, what is going on? So, had a blood test for anemia. Then I got a phone call saying that it wasn't the anemia, it was underactive thyroid. And I was kind of like, what the hell is that? Like, I don't know if a lot of people know about it. I definitely didn't until the doctor told me. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So it's not anemia, I just have underactive thyroid, that's fine. Didn't really think that actually having underactive thyroid was worse, because I didn't actually know what it was. But it did start to, like, the more research I did, it did start to make sense. Like low moods, depression, thinning hair, what's the word? Dry hair, dry skin, storing a lot of water, putting on excess weight, and it being really hard to lose the weight. Oh god, what else? There's loads of stuff. Brittle nails, so like my nails would, like, they'll grow eventually and then they'll just break all of a sudden. My eyebrow hair falls out, I get like clumps of my eyebrows come out, my eyelashes come out if I'm stressed, yeah, all the fun stuff. So it was kind of like a trial and error of what is going on now, like what have I sort of got to do. So me and Jordan went away for my 19th birthday, I want to say. Went away for like my 23rd, 24th, doesn't really matter. It was in the last couple of years. And we went to Bath and hadn't heard anything back, but I needed to wait to see if I was accepted for medication. And we were like sitting near this, sort of paint a picture for you. We were sitting near the river and I got a phone call saying you can start the medication. And I was like, okay, sick. And then I got a call about an hour later saying actually a specialist has looked into it, you need to be put on a higher dose immediately. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I got put on a higher dose, and from that time till now, I'm on 125 more, like strength-wise more than what I started. I have a blood test, well, when this video comes out, I would have had a blood test already, so I might be on even more than that now, because a lot of symptoms are coming back. Oh, another thing, my memory goes all the time. I've got really foggy memory, I get brain fog all the time. Oh shit, I literally just, I was gonna say, to the point where I forget where I take the medication. I forgot to take the medication today, so. And it is 2:15, I meant to take it first thing in the morning, but that's fine. Taking it later is better than never. So yeah, now I'm on thyroxine for the rest of my life, which is fine. So underactive thyroid, if people don't know, it's like a hormone imbalancement, a hormone oh my god, what's the word? Hormone imbalance. What is going on? Imbalance. A hormone imbalance. Is that right? I feel like I've said it so many times now, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, hormones all over the place, which makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it kind of just comes to terms with that. Makes me tired all the time. Like, even if I have naps, I'm still like exhausted. It affects my work life a lot. Like, I'm constantly like foggy brained, and yeah, just not great. Affects everything, but it's fine. So that was sort of like going on. Still is going on. Will go on for the rest of my life, but that's fine. We move. I want to try and get a time frame right. So maybe about a year and a bit. A year ago, my periods started getting really bad, but I don't have periods because I'm on the implant. but my cycle was getting really bad. I always had really painful periods growing up. My mum had them to the point where she'd like pass out at school. So I just thought it kind of runs in the family. And it was getting to the point where each time I'd have a cycle, it'd get worse and worse and worse, to the point where I had kidney stones like last Christmas. And that's kind of when it all started, last Christmas. So I had kidney stones and I could barely stand. I was in agony. If you had kidney stones, you know. You'll have to pass them yourself, or they got to come out of you somehow. So luckily, unluckily, some of mine passed naturally. But that was excruciating. I was off work for a week because I couldn't stand. I could barely go to the toilet because of the pain. Like, it was whole palaver. So I went for an x-ray or ultrasound, and they couldn't really see anything. And I thought, okay, I must have just passed them all. And then, like I said, the period time frame, like my cycle was getting so bad that it felt like I was having contractions. And I'm not even joking, at one point of me thought, do you know those people who have like those pregnancies that like carried in their back? I thought, am I in labour right now? Like, am I giving birth? Because I passed out in my bedroom because of the pain. Luckily, Jordan was home, and I was like on the floor, like banging on the blooming bedroom door, like shouting for him because he had his headset on. But he came out like straight away. Now he doesn't really let me sort of out of his sight, bless him. So like at night, if he's like gaming, I have to be sat on the other sofa so he can keep an eye on me. So yeah, like stuff like that was happening, and it was getting a bit scary, and I was like, I don't know what to do, because, which I think I think this sometimes happens a lot with women, where you feel like you don't want to cause a fuss because it is like your cycle and it is a period, but I think that's where it kind of is going wrong, because more women need to do. That's another thing. I can't get my words out all the time. So if you see me like stumbling over words, or if I say something and I'm really confident in the fact that I've said it right and it's not right, it's because I can't. My speech sometimes gets affected by it. So that's a new thing. But yeah, so I do feel like a lot of women's health doesn't have as much sort of funding and research, and I know the NHS is so under pressure as it is. However, I was in so much pain that I was like sweating. Like I said, I passed out. I couldn't stand. I was like hunched over, and I knew it like wasn't my appendix or anything like that, because I think you just know there's certain pain. So I didn't go to the hospital, and Jordan's like, let's go, like let's just go. But at this point it was like 1 in the morning, and I thought, they're not going to do anything for me. Like, what can they physically do? Yeah, they can do tests, but at this point I'd had 5 x-rays, ultrasounds, urine sample, the number of urine samples I've had to do, all these other tests I've had, and I was just like, what else can they physically do? And it kind of got to the point where I sound like such a, I don't even know what the word is, not millennial, because I'm not a millennial. Am I? Or am I? No, am I millennial? I don't know. Basically, it sounds like such a youth thing to say, but I took to Facebook and I kind of just said to everyone on there, like, don't normally do this sort of thing, but I'm experiencing crazy abdominal pain, very TMI, but we're talking about female health, so you know, strap yourself in. It was like tissue coming out, like clot like tissue coming out, but you could tell it like wasn't like a normal period, because it was like just clumps of tissue, like brown stuff, lovely. The abdominal pain was horrendous, the back pain was horrendous, yeah, not pleasant at all. So I said all this on Facebook thinking like, please, anyone, if you know, help a girl out. And actually, loads of people commented, like, it could be this, but I'd say 90% of the responses was, it sounds like endometriosis. And I was like, what the hell is that? Which again, is quite bad. I'm a 26-year-old woman who has never heard of this before. So, am I 26? Yeah, 26-year-old woman who's never heard of this before. Which shows that it doesn't get talked about much. So, I did my own research, looked into it. My sister had also said, it sounds like this. And my cousin, I'm sure it was my cousin, who said she had it, and it does run in the family. So I went back and forth, and after doing, like, I'm not even exaggerating, like weeks of research, I was kind of looking at other different things, and everyone else was like, if it's polycystic ovaries, but I didn't have sort of, it didn't really tick all the boxes for polycystic. And I know obviously everyone's different and it might not, but I just didn't, looking into polycystic ovaries, it just didn't really fit right with everything else, like all the other stuff. So I went to the doctors and I just said, like, this is happening. I believe it is polycystic, I believe it's endometriosis. When I explained everything to her, she said it does sound like it, and she'd be very surprised if it wasn't, because of everything I'd said. They wanted me to have another ultrasound, another stomach kidney ultrasound, another urine sample, and a blood test. I did all that, and it came back a slight abnormality. And I was like, okay. So I called the doctors. And I'm not slating the doctors, I'm not slating doctor's surgeries. It was just frustrating at the time. So I called them and said, like, can I speak to someone about my results? Because it comes back abnormal, but no one has said anything. I called them, they're basically just saying, like, yeah, you know, it might be this, it might be that. There's no way to really tell. Are you trying for children? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, unless you're trying for children, then we can't really do anything else. And I was like, okay, but what if I was someone who never wants children? Which I don't, you know, I don't even know if that's even going to be the case, but, you know, what if I was someone who decides I don't want kids? Where does that leave me? And they're like, well, you know, if you're trying for children, it's different because it affects your fertility if you have polycystic ovaries or endometriosis. And I was like, okay, so I'm meant to live the rest of my life in absolute agony every month because I don't want kids at the moment. I'm just being left. And I ended up saying to her, like, I kind of broke down the phone. I was like, I can't sleep, I can't walk, I can't stand, I can't do my job to the best of my ability. I've had to have so much time off that it's an absolute joke, and I'm surprised I even have a job. And it's just like all this other stuff. And then she was like, okay, didn't realise it affected you that badly. Because I think the thing I said to her is, what quality of life is that? And then she was like, hang on, let me speak to someone. So she puts me on hold, and I really did think they were going to like fob me off to someone else, speak to someone else, and so on and so forth. So she was like, okay, we can put, you know, she went, okay, what do you think it is? And I said, well, I spoke to my doctor and I think it could be endometriosis. And she was like, oh, right, okay, well, if that's what you think it is, then you need to have a certain test. I said, yes, I know, like, I have been trying to say to like the doctors and everyone else that endometriosis can't be picked up on a normal x-ray or ultrasound. It's very, very rare that it will. You need keyhole surgery. And they're like, yeah, but would you want to do that though? And I was like, if I have endometriosis and this is the only way I could potentially, one, know for definite, and two, maybe have some sort of relief for a certain amount of time, because I do know that obviously when you have the surgery it can grow back, and pretty much the only way to get rid of it is to have a hysterectomy. But yeah, that's a whole another day's problem. So she eventually agreed that she'd put me through to see a specialist, and then she was like, it's a 6-month wait. And I was like, okay, that's annoying, but I know people who've waited 7 years to have to see someone. So 6 months I can do. So 6 months is now. and I got a letter, well, I got a text the other day saying, do you still need your appointment because we are running short on basically staff, which again, like I said before, I understand the NHS are under immense pressure. But you basically just had to say if you still need your appointment, and I was like, well, yeah. And this last, I'd say 3 days, it's probably been the worst one of the worst 3 days after the whole passing out session. I spent the last weekend pretty much sofa bound, in absolute agony. Jordan's been making me hot water bottles every day, like to go to bed and just to live. So it's been very interesting. So that chapter still hasn't finished. I don't know when it will, don't know if it ever will. I know there might be a lot in the future that I have to think about, quite serious stuff. I've sort of gone past the stage now where I like sort of want to dwell on it. It's one of those things, it is what it is. It's not the nicest, it's not the worst. It could be 1,000 times worse, and I'm grateful that it is just this at the moment. I know other people that have it way, way, way worse, where they can't even work at all. So I'm grateful that I can still hold down a full-time job, and I can still live life pretty much semi-normal, like, well, my new normal at least now with the thyroid as well. So it's kind of just been a few years of adjusting to new Meg's life. My brain's a bit foggy, my memory's a bit messed up, can't shift any weight, I'm always swollen, my ankles, my feet, my knees, my wrists, my fingers, my elbows, every now and then. I'm not crying, I just have a really dry throat. That's a new thing. I'm trying not to cry as much, which it doesn't work. But they all get swollen, so I'd say every month, a few months or so, I've got to like wear supports just to take the sort of pressure down, which again is fine. It's just one of those things now. So yeah, that's pretty much where it is at the moment. I will sort of take you on the journey with me to find a diagnosis if I ever get that far into getting a diagnosis. I don't really know anymore. It's just new ways of figuring out life, which is fine. We move, we figure it out, and if you've got good people around you, then it makes it a lot easier. So that's sort of my health recap at the moment. I don't think there's anything else. Still want to get a breast reduction. Just add that into the mix of it all. Still get bad back because of that. Thought I had fibromyalgia because I was in a lot of pain. Just turns out it was just trauma that was coming out of my body through pain, so that was fun. Got first steps arthritis in my hands. I don't know if you can see on camera, but my like little finger is fat and twisted. That's another little thing. Just all little quirks add to my life. Jordan says like dating an old woman, which I kind of don't blame him. It actually really is. So that is me now, thriving, chilling, living. So my health update. We'll see what 2024 brings. Hopefully good news, fingers crossed. I would love you and leave you. If you have any questions or any advice, if you have any of these things and you know a way to manage them, please let me know. In the new year, I want to start a sort of 90%, 80% plant-based diet, because I've done it before for about 7 months. I was completely vegan and I did love doing it. So it's just with living with Jordan now, it's whether I can do it for every single meal. It might be a bit harder, but I do want to do as much as I can, because I've heard that is meant to be a massive, massive help. And for some people, it's pretty much cut the pain down by like more than half. So it's worth a try. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated with that. I can take you along with me if you want to see videos on that as well. But yeah, until then, I will love you and leave you. Have a good rest of your day, morning or night, or whenever you're watching this video. And I will see you next time. Bye guys.